Welcome into the Locked On Knicks podcast. Gavin Shaw, Alex Wolf. The New York Knicks win game one. Let's go. 101-97 over the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're going to take you through all of it, including Julius Randle's comeback, Jalen Brunson's heroics, and a near perfect playoff debut for Josh Hart. All that and more right now on Locked On Knicks.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast. I want to thank you for making Locked On Knicks your first listen. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe we're your second listen tonight. You know what? If you're tuning in, I don't really care. We really appreciate you joining us. But generally, for making us your first listen today and every day. I'm Gavin Shaw, your favorite play-by-play broadcaster's favorite play-by-play broadcaster. He is Alex Wolf, editor-in-chief of The Strickland, the greatest Knicks website in the whole wide world. And we are live right now on YouTube. So if you are tuning in, please throw us some comments, throw us some questions. But Alex, man, what an incredible win for the Knicks. I feel like I've said this a bunch this year, but another one of those that's in the top, it feels like 5 to 10 I've ever seen in my Knicks fandom. The Knicks hold Cleveland at bay throughout the first half, despite Jalen Brunson picking up 3 fouls, only plays 9 minutes in the first half. Julius Randle, he was active and he was awesome, particularly in the first half of play. 16 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists in the first half for Randle. Didn't really look like he missed much of a beat. Tibbs subbed him out a little bit earlier than he typically would, maybe just for conditioning reasons, maybe so he didn't overexert himself early in this game. But man, Randle did everything possible to keep the Knicks in the game. And then the second half was the Villanova boys show. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Brunson hitting big shot after big shot down the stretch. Josh Hart, maybe I'll just say he did have probably the best game of anyone on this team. 17 points, 10 rebounds, 8 for 11 from the field. A three-pointer in the final 2 minutes to beat the shot clock buzzer that I don't think the Knicks would have won without it. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, made it 97-93. I know we're not supposed to use this language, but I think playoff basketball warrants it. A big ball shot from Josh Hart for a guy who was shooting 30% from three for the majority of the season. And then the combination of Brunson and the offensive rebounding of Hartenstein and Randle, Alex, just enough for the Knicks to win down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start with Brunson, obviously, although really they owe so much to that rebounding too. There's just so many, it's like tough to pick one MVP or like one player. This was like really the consummate team effort that you hope to see from the Knicks, and kind of what we talked about when we did the stream earlier, where we talked about the depth and how the depth could work in the Knicks' favor. Like every single player that touched the floor for the Knicks in this game made an impact at some point. Even the guys that struggled a little bit still did stuff. You know what I mean? Like even Emmanuel quickly had maybe one of his worst games in a while, still impacted the game in some way and, left a little bit of a stamp on it. But the rebounding was just so clutch. Like really the Knicks owe it all to that. It was so tight down the stretch and the margins were so thin, and, they missed some shots. And in some cases that can mean, especially with a team with a guy like Donovan Mitchell, that can mean, okay, defensive board, get down the floor, put it in Donovan Mitchell's hands. He's going to make a 3 or something that's going to be a backbreaker. And instead, Isaiah Hartenstein kicks out an offensive rebound by just kind of like scooping it away from the Cavs players late in the game. Julius Randle comes up with one right at the end, kicks it out to Quentin Grimes, who makes 2 clutch free throws to put the game out of reach. I mean, this just felt, right to your point, like so monumental. I don't know. It's just so fun. It felt like, I mean, I guess now we kind of know what the Hawks fans felt like 2 years ago, winning like this backbreaking game one on the road that just felt like a real tone setter. Like I think my biggest takeaway from this game is that the Knicks played kind of a crappy game overall and they still won. I mean, this is like, I think honestly, this was about as bad like on the overall that we've seen the Knicks play in like 2 months. Like they couldn't make threes. the offense seemed a little disjointed at times. They had a number of possessions just end with like shot clock violations or very nearly shot clock violations. And of course, like Cleveland has a great defense and that's sort of like their staple, but you still want to see more than that out of the Knicks. And, they just saved themselves by being way more committed to winning than the Cavs were in this game, by getting after every loose ball, by getting after every rebound and generating all these extra opportunities for themselves. And if this is like the best that the Cavs can throw at the Knicks and the Knicks can win a game playing like this, then things are looking pretty good for the Knicks for this series, because they're not going to shoot 27.5% from three for this whole series.
Yeah, I think I'd push back a little bit, right? Because you're almost grading on a curve, right? For the playoffs. Like, it's kind of for me to make an analogy that maybe 10 people watching will appreciate. It's almost like, in Dragon Ball Z where Piccolo would always wear like the weighted gear. Like it feels like that. Like everyone was going through the mud. Like you could tell that Emmanuel quickly, like obviously people can reference his rookie year, like didn't really play much. Hasn't gotten a lot of playoff experience. Certainly in the context he's in now. He played you want to talk about worst game in 2 months, like that first half, and then he barely played in the second half. That first half was like the worst I've seen him play in about 50 games. And maybe there's some horrific game that I'm misremembering, but man, he was terrible. Quentin Grimes was just like, I mean, he hit the two clutchest free throws of the entire season, right? Yeah, Kim Jennings agrees with us. We played bad and we still won. But outside of that, like Quentin Grimes, a guy who's been the best 3-point shooter in basketball, had 2 in a row, one of them completely wide open, and missed them both like just skimming front rim. Like you could tell that he didn't totally have his feet under him yet. Obi Toppin looked scared, whatless in the first half, and then rebounded to have a game-changing third quarter with 7 points in the third quarter. RJ Barrett just 2 for 12. Barrett, Grimes, and Quickly combining to shoot some quick math here, 3 for 21 from the floor in this game. And yet, to some extent, Alex, I think that just is the nature of playoff basketball, particularly with a young team. I mean, when you just look up and down this roster, like who has substantial playoff experience in their career? It's Jalen Brunson, and that's really where the list ends. And you could tell in this game, and yet all the like factors that let them play well down the stretch of this year, I think we're still present, right? The physicality, the offensive rebounding. You said it; those two were game savers. And Josh Hart, a guy that I think we could have predicted was built for the playoffs, and yet at age 27 has never been in one of these games before. And it just did not seem to matter for him, because he was maybe the one guy more than anyone else. I would put Julius somewhat in this category as well, but Hart seemed like the guy least affected by this stage.
Yeah, I think so too. And you bring up the fact that the Knicks are a young team. I guess it bears mentioning that the Cavs are a pretty young and pretty unplayoff tested team too. I mean, it kind of showed that like Donovan Mitchell is the only guy on this team that's consistently been to the playoffs in his career, because he was the only one that seemed just kind of ready for the stage on their team. I guess Garland had a pretty decent game in his own right, but like Evan Mobley, for example, looked shook. I mean, he looked not ready for the stage yet. Okoro couldn't make anything. Not that, I mean, the Knicks kind of just dared him to make something, and he didn't. He only made 1 of 6 shots, 0-4 from 3. Osman played okay. Like LeVert didn't look very good in this game. Like it sort of comes down to like, I guess both teams kind of went through their growing pains in their own ways in this game. And you saw a lot of guys that are like second, third year players that haven't really had a chance to be on this stage yet, kind of get their feet wet and feel like, okay, now I understand what it's like to be in a game where everyone's going to be coming at my neck every single possession. And, or like in the case of Okoro, like blatantly daring me to shoot in a very big moment and, making me, make shots that I normally struggle to make. And now I'm extra going to struggle to make because it's such a big stage. But yeah, to your point, like Hart was amazing. 17 points, 10 boards, 2 assists. Like he just had endless energy. He did exactly what we thought he was going to do with those 10 boards. Like just came in and snatched them right out of the hands of so many guys and was just in the thick of every single play, and then was starting transition. And that was, when the Knicks got out in transition, and I hope that like this is what can get Emmanuel quickly going in the next game. This could get Obi Toppin even more going in the next game. That's what could get RJ Barrett going in the next game. I hope that they embrace transition more, because the transition was so key to making the Cavs uncomfortable, I feel like. And Josh Hart, as usual, is like right at the center of that, because he'll just get one of those defensive rebounds and run coast to coast. And teams don't know what to do with that, because normally, especially a team like the Cavs, are like expecting you to kind of set up like they're going to do, and that they're going to dictate the pace. And yet the Knicks just kind of said, and especially Josh Hart said, like, you don't get to dictate the pace. I'm going to dictate the pace this time, and I'm going to run the floor, and I'm going to get down there and score right on your face, and you're just going to have to deal with it. And it was awesome. And also, as you said, just the absolute stones to take that shot late in the game and make it, when he'd only taken 1-3 prior to that point.
Yeah.
And then just says, you know what, I might be tired. I might be in the middle of, like, I don't know. I think he must have played like the final 12 to 14 minutes or something in this game. And it just be like, I don't care if I have dead legs. I'm just going to make this shot, because it's the moment I've been waiting for. He was just fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I was wrong. It was after the Knicks got down, right? Jared Allen made that tip shot. Like, look, we can zoom back. The Knicks were leading this game 89-81. Before that, 87-77. And then Cleveland stormed back. It was Donovan Mitchell making a 26-foot three. RJ Barrett, which is just kind of handing the ball to Darius Garland on a drive. Mitchell got the transition layup. Then Jalen Brunson tried to pull off of Mitchell, tried to split a double team. Mitchell got the steal. Osman got the layup. Jared Allen got a tip shot with 2 minutes and 12 seconds left after Mitchell had a miss, and the Knicks all were closing in on him. And then shot clock dwindling, Knicks giving up that big lead. I don't know about you, Alex. In my household, it felt like the walls were closing in. I was breathing heavy. I was like, someone get me a brown paper bag. This isn't good. I'm going to have a panic attack. And Josh Hart, when the shot went up, it was a real no. Yes, he made it. And from that point on, like, it was still tense, but I kind of felt like that won the game to make it 95-93 with 149 to go. You could say in the last decade, I mean, you could even say, like, since 2000, that has to be one of the 5 biggest shots a Knick has made. I go back to Melo against Chicago, Julius against the Heat this year. We can do that episode another day, but that was a crazy shot from Josh Hart. And look, man, I would let's do that trade all over again with Portland. When it first happened, I was sort of like, like he's gonna help. It's gonna be nice. I hate giving up a first round pick in this draft. Now I'm like, give him 3, give him 4. I mean, this guy is an absolute game changer for the New York Knicks. How about this? Let's take a quick break. Let's come back. Let's talk a little bit more about Josh Hart. Let's get into some of these comments, because I think some of the people have some great points, Alex, on how this game pointed out some crucial weaknesses on Cleveland's part that could potentially dictate some optimism for the Knicks going forward beyond just winning game 1 in and of itself. But first, I got to tell everyone about Nissan's most electric player of the week. And it's brought to you by the all-new 2023 Nissan Ariya. So part of me wants to shout out Julius Randle again. He was amazing coming back from the injury. Jalen Brunson made big shot after big shot. But I just told you about our guy. It is Josh Hart. A level of toughness, of determination, a lack of shakiness. Like, he is already playing playoff basketball 24/7. Jalen Brunson even said in the postgame, like, whether it's a regular season game, it's a practice, it's a pickup, it's in college, it's in the league, it doesn't matter. Josh Hart is who Josh Hart is. And it won the Knicks the game tonight. He was brilliantly fierce attacking the rim, fiercely elegant on that, what turned out to be a game-winning three-pointer. I'm always shocked by the stunningly powerful nature of his game, the way teams or opposing defenders just seem to bounce off him. The dude is a human bowling ball. The 2023 Nissan Ariya packs pin-to-your-seat power and premium intelligence all in one EV. The all-new, all-electric 2023 Nissan Ariya, the EV for people who love to drive, and you can shop now at nissanusa.com. So with that, Alex, we are back. I don't know. Where do you want to go next? Josh Hart, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, get into some of these comments?
Yeah, let's highlight these couple comments that came in through YouTube, sort of like a live mailbag here almost. So first, Kim Jennings points out 3 of the Cavs starters had 40-plus minutes, and the most a Knicks player had was 34. We will tire them out by game 4. Then our buddy Jordan Bubb here says, Knicks minute distribution tonight. Brunson, 30 minutes. Randle, 31 minutes. Hart, 33 minutes. Cavs minute distribution tonight. Allen, 43 minutes. Garland, 43 minutes. Mitchell, 44 minutes. Definitely pretty poignant stuff there. Now, of course, we should add the caveat, like Brunson most likely would have played closer to 40 minutes had he not gotten into foul trouble in the first half. He only played about 9 minutes in the first half, so he played over 20 in the second. So he most likely would have played closer to 40 minutes, and that would have been great for the Knicks. But like the 33 for Julius, I don't know how you felt about this, Gavin, but I kind of like, he obviously had to get his win back, and I kind of loved that Tibbs was so cognizant of that. Like, we were kind of worried about that when we were talking earlier, like, or maybe I was saying this somewhere else, but like, I was worried about Julius coming back too soon and then not having his wind and then being out there tired and, not getting a proper amount of rest, or Tibbs just like, as usual, being like, nope, I'm going to ride my guy. He's healthy enough to play. He's healthy enough to be out there for 42 minutes, and, just kind of running Julius into the ground like that. Instead, he gave Obi almost 15 minutes and he really made the most of them. Like, and I think that's great. I think that the Knicks should be looking for that change of pace, because the reality is, even if Julius does get his win back by like game 3, game 4, and feels like he's at where he wants to be cardio wise, I think you should still be looking to do this minutes distribution, because Obi just gives you such a different look out there than with Randle, and gives you a guy that's just going to be sprinting the floor, to the point of the people in the comments saying like how many more minutes that the Cavs played, tiring out, the Cavs players, and whether it's their bench or their starters. If you tire out their bench, then their starters come in sooner, and then the starters have to play more minutes, and they're playing tired down the stretch. If you tire out their starters, great, because that's the only players that could do anything on this Cavs team, because their bench showed in this game they're not a threat. Like, you just have to contain Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, and Allen. That is it. Like, that is all you have to worry about with this team. And that's no small task, but like, the Cavs don't have depth. So I kind of loved how this all worked out in a weird way.
Yeah, I think there's a world, right, where how this game played out isn't how every game plays out. Like, I think there's going to be a game in this series where Karis LeVert maybe gets hot, scores somewhere between 15 and 24 points, and that could swing a game. There's going to be a game in this series where Isaac Okoro like hits a couple threes and he's able to play down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Maybe there's a game where Ricky Rubio makes a few more plays, where Dean Wade makes a few more plays. But this is kind of what we expected coming in, right? People could go back and watch our live stream earlier today. They could watch any of the podcasts we've done this week. We said the bench was going to be one of those pivotal battlegrounds in this series. And I mean, you look at the totals, and the Knicks just absolutely dominated that aspect of the game. Like, I'll do the math right now. The Knicks get 37 points off the bench. Cleveland gets 14 points off the bench. Like if that sustains, like, Donovan Mitchell could have a couple 50-point games, and it's still not going to be enough for the Cavs. And I think, to me, that was maybe the single most encouraging part of this game, is just that you could feel the dearth of optionality for Cleveland, right? Because Mitchell was fantastic. 38 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals. And that's kind of what you have to expect from him, right? We saw this guy in the bubble come pretty close to averaging like over 40 points per game for an entire series. He is I think coming into the playoffs, maybe it's even higher now, the 7th leading scorer in a points per game basis in the history of basketball in the playoffs. So that's just what he does, right? Donovan Mitchell's that guy. He's that good. Would have been a great Knick. Darius Garland, like, he was making shots, but I think what the Knicks did so well for him or with him is they forced him, Alex, into being a shooter, not a creator. He's still a little bit more dangerous to me as a passer than he is as a pure volume scorer. And he was super efficient, but he only got off 13 shots. He only had 1 assist in this game, and he had 5 turnovers in this game. That is picture perfect how you want to defend Garland. And the way the Knicks did it was by crashing to the rim and barricading the rim and doubling and tripling down on what they've tried to do as a defensive team all season long. And that is to not let you win at the rim. That is Tom Thibodeau basketball for the last 20 to 30 years now. And it's to Dare and Isaac Okoro saying, hey, you want to go beat us from three? Go beat us from three. Okoro missed 2 threes early, passed up a wide open one in the first quarter. And after he did that, you know what happens when guys start doing that in playoff basketball? They hit the bench because it's not sustainable to play 4-on-5. And look, Cedi Osman, I honestly thought did a pretty good job on Brunson down the stretch. Like the reason the Knicks needed those 2 offensive rebounds were because Brunson missed 2 big shots, but Brunson also had 21 points in the second half and was pretty much unstoppable. And I think a way the Knicks can compound that even further is by having Quentin Grimes out there next game or Emmanuel Quickly in there down the stretch the whole time with Brunson instead of RJ Barrett. This is something Ariel Pacheco, who's going to be with us in person post-game game 2 to talk about stuff like this. But he noted that when Grimes or Quickly are on the floor, you just can't guard Brunson the same way. That second defender, it's a much harsher rotation to play off of one of those guys than it is to play off of RJ Barrett. And when Brunson started getting stymied a little bit, it was early in the fourth quarter when teams were happy to help off of RJ. When RJ came off the floor, particularly in the third quarter, you saw Grimes set these great screens on Karis LeVert. And Brunson was going to work on Darius Garland. He was going to work on Donovan Mitchell, getting to the matchup he wants. And to me, down the stretch of these games, I know teams tend to go a little bit more iso ball. It's still essential that you can go and get those switches. Grimes, not only does he set harder screens than RJ, but because he has that gravity as a shooter, if you're a defender, you need to make the switch, because if not, Grimes is walking into a wide open 3. Quickly's walking into a wide open 3. And I know they both really struggled shooting the basketball today. Over the course of the series, the Cavs are going to pay for those shots. So either you're giving Brunson his matchup or you're giving one of those 2 guys an open 3. And as this series goes along, Alex, I think that's going to get increasingly painful for Cleveland. And I think what's going to maybe win the series for the Knicks is that Cleveland can't make the Knicks pay the same way on the other end because they're not playing guys who can shoot quite as well.
Yeah, and it just speaks to the depth once again. I feel like we're going to be talking about the depth a ton throughout the course of this series. But to your point, like none of those 3 guys, Quickly, Grimes, Barrett, those are like the 3 guys that are assuming that Josh Hart plays as well as he has and is probably going to occupy the nominal 3 spot, or whatever you want to call them, the 2, I don't know, doesn't really matter, but one of those 2 wing spots, if he's going to be closing games there, presumably you're going to have Grimes, Quickly, and RJ fighting for that second spot, along with having Brunson, close the game at point guard, Randle at power forward, and either Mitch or Hartenstein at center, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a second too. But all 3 of those guys were not particularly good shooting the ball, but all 3 of those guys have shown that they can shoot the ball. Unfortunately, after this game, I think RJ probably made the least good case for himself because, yeah, to your point, like he just did not look confident. Like I can't remember the last time that I saw him be quite that tentative with the ball. Like there was one possession where he just got it and he had for him, a pretty wide open 3, as someone was closing, but they were far away enough that he easily could have gotten it off clean. And yet he still just kind of paused for a second. And in that half second of processing where he couldn't decide if he wanted to take the shot or not, the defender closed more. Then he had to put it on the floor. And he ultimately didn't wind up taking a shot. He just kind of drove into the teeth of the D, didn't have much of a plan. I don't remember how that possession wound up ending. I think it just ended with a miss from someone else shooting against a short shot clock. But, it's like you can't have that sort of hesitation. And that's the same stuff we saw out of Okoro too, right? Which is why he kind of got played off the floor. And it's a shame because I really loved what I saw out of RJ otherwise. Like I thought that his decision-making was good. He was moving the ball really well. He was being, active with the passing lanes and was stripping guys and stuff. Like he had 4 steals in this game. Like I thought his defense was good. And I thought that he all in all was playing a pretty good game, but yeah, you can't down the stretch have someone on the floor that just can't shoot. It's been proven time and time again in the NBA. Like that just doesn't work. And that's why, you see a guy like Okoro not play down the stretch too, but it's the Cavs should be really worried though, that RJ, Grimes, and Quickly shot a combined, 2 for 11?
3 for 21.
2. Well, I was going to say 2 for 11 from 3
in
this game.
Yeah.
And yet the Cavs still couldn't win this game because one of those guys is going to start going off. My money would probably be on Quickly or Grimes, but possibly RJ as well. And if that happens, the Cavs are screwed, man. What are they going to do to counter that? Like, because they couldn't even beat the Knicks in this game when when really nobody but Brunson or Randle could be relied on and Hart could be relied on for super consistent offense. So yeah, I feel great as a Knicks fan coming out of this game and heading into the future games. I do just have to real quick, we gotta give our second break here and tell you guys about Built Bars, but we'll continue checking out your comments and reacting to some in a second here. And also talk about Julius Randle. I don't think we've really done him justice yet for just how good he was in the first half of this game, how courageous he was coming back off that injury. But first, I got to remind you guys, today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. And if you're looking for a delicious snack but don't want all the sugar and calories, you need the best tasting protein bar ever built. You got to try them. If you're like me and you want to make healthier snack choices, but you don't want to compromise on taste, well, I have just the thing for you. Built Bars and Built Puffs. Built Bars are healthy and taste amazing. Seriously, they taste so amazing. You won't think they're good for you. They really taste like a candy bar more so than a protein bar. It's not like eating a big sandbar covered in gross waxy chocolate. It's like eating a chewy chocolate covered candy bar because they're covered in 100% real dark chocolate. That is right, real chocolate. And they have unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and cookies and cream. I'm really not sure how they do it too, because they have amazing macros, just 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar, but a whopping 17 grams of protein per bar. And now you don't need to wait to get a box. For years, we've been talking about ordering Built Bars at Built.com, but now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club, while you can still get specialty bars at Built.com. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puff. And cookies and cream, definitely one of my favorites. And if you're close to Sam's Club, run in and grab a 13-bar box with hit flavors, brownie batter puff and churro puff. You can thank me later. All right, Gavin, we're back in. And continuing talking about this awesome win, 101-97, the Knicks beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I mentioned Julius Randle before the break, but I'll throw it to you. Who do you want to highlight next? Because there's still a lot of meat on the bone here, I think, for us to go off of.
Yeah, I want to your point and to other people's points. I just wanted to like balance it out on RJ a little bit, because man, I thought the start that he had to this game was awesome, and maybe this is just kind of like inherent to playoff basketball, but for so many guys on this team, right, it was a tale of two halves. I thought RJ, even though he didn't shoot well, had an incredible first half. I thought Julius Randle had an incredible first half. I thought both had their issues in the second half. I thought Mitchell Robinson had one of his worst halves of the season, the first half. And then I thought he was amazing in the second half. Obi Toppin, non-existent in the first half. Incredible in that third quarter. Like, we can go on and on and on with these guys, but it's maybe just like in a big picture sense, the story of this team, that guys lifted each other up. But more specifically on RJ, I mean, the start that he had to this game defensively, like setting the tone, helping the Knicks get out to a 9-2 lead. I mean, shutting up that Cavs-centric crowd early on in this game. He was just super aggressive, playing the passing lanes, like chasing Darius Garland, tipping a pass away, sprinting the floor hard, slipping it to Julius Randle, got him a wide open 3. And you saw Randle kind of hesitate, and then just no one was near him. And then he drained it. And I think that initial shot kind of like let Julius know, like, all right, I'm good enough to go. I'm ready to play. Like my shot's not gone, even if I'm not quite at full speed, not at quite my athletic peak yet. And then he had another one, like him and Randle had this really smart trap, and I'm not sure if it was called by Tom Thibodeau on the sideline or what it was, but they just poked it away from Darius Garland on a pass when he tried to throw it over RJ. Randle ran the floor, got a layup. RJ did a really nice job switching onto Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's eyes kind of light up when he gets that switch, but RJ slid his feet, stuck right with him, forced a missed floater, went right at Darius Garland, I think late first quarter, early second, to draw a foul, had another really nice kick in the corner on a drive to Obi Toppin for a wide open 3. He ended up missing it, but Mitch got a dunk. Then RJ hit a big 3. Like, the stuff in the first half was great. And I didn't think the decision-making in the second half was there for him, because in the first half, Cleveland was playing him as if he wanted to shoot a little bit more. In the second half, and I think this was a great adjustment from JB Bickerstaff, they were like, all right, RJ, like, you haven't shot well in weeks or months. Like, go prove it. And then RJ's kind of like, I don't really want to do that. And that's when things became kind of problematic for him. But to Julius Randle, man, the thing that flashed to me in the first half was just how under control he was and what a stark difference that was from the Atlanta series 2 years ago. Like he had a play where he was in transition and even last season, even earlier this year, you would have seen him like bulldoze his way in and maybe make it, maybe not, but try to throw up a layup over 2 or 3 guys. Instead, he was under control. He kind of waited out Cleveland's defense and then hit Josh Hart on the secondary break for a layup, and then got into like his bag, like step back 3, baseline fader, spin move into the lane, slip pass under Evan Mobley's outstretched arm to Isaiah Hartenstein to draw a foul. Awesome physicality on the glass where when he got a rebound of his own miss, was surrounded by 3 guys on the Cavs, had like one of his classic sequences was like right, pump fake, hip check someone, get to the line, backdoor slip pass to Josh Hart for a layup to end the first half. Like it wasn't a perfect half, but it was pretty darn close to it. And Alex, you gotta look at this from a what if perspective, right? What if Julius doesn't play? What if he comes back and he's out of rhythm? He credited Johnny Bryant in the post-game interview for basically putting him through a week of hell to get ready for this game 1. And man, Johnny Bryant, he deserves a promotion. Maybe he deserves a head coaching job somewhere because it looked like Randle didn't miss any time. And sure, the second half wasn't great. Ultimately didn't shoot the ball that well in this game, 7 of 20. But that first half is what had the Knicks up by 5, despite so many different things going wrong, particularly Jalen Brunson only getting to play 9 minutes with those 3 fouls.
Yeah, I mean, first half Julius came out like he never left, right? I mean, that's been sort of, we've talked about this like a million times throughout this year, but the Knicks formula has been first half Julius, second half Jalen. You know what I mean? Like Julius comes out and he just cooks to start the game, and then Brunson is like the closer. And sometimes that flip flops, you know, or sometimes one guy will just have it going the whole game. Obviously, Julius had like almost a 60-point game at one point this year, so you know there's that. But I mean, I just found it so like awesome seeing how spry he looked coming back off that injury. You know, I talked like just a couple weeks ago when he twisted the ankle like that. Like I've twisted my ankle like that before. And granted, I don't have a professional training staff at my disposal, but that's a nasty injury, man. And that is really painful. And it's really hard to get your footing back when you sprain your ankle like that, because it's just like you're unsure of it. You know, you feel like anything that you do is going to potentially lead to another twist like that. But he just put it all out there. I mean, he went out there and he gave 100% of himself, 100% effort and everything else. And I thought that he was fantastic. It was inspiring. Also, shout out to the Knicks medical staff for doing the job that they did to get him ready for this game too. I mean, again, he did not look like he missed a beat in the slightest, especially in that first half when he had 16 points, 6 of 13 shooting, 2 of 6 from 3. He also he did a great job of reading what the Cavs were putting on the table too. I didn't feel like he only turned it over one time against 2 assists in the first half, but in the aggregate for the game, what did he end up with turnover wise? 5 turnovers, but I mean, it felt like he kept a pretty good eye on the ball, you know what I mean? And dealt with a lot of pressure and yet didn't let it get to him in any way that really hurt the team. Like it didn't feel like he was flummoxed ever. You know, there's a few bad breaks, but he was very in control. He didn't let his emotions get the best of him either. There was one opportunity where that could have happened. He got tied up with Jared Allen underneath, and it looked like there was a potential for, I don't know, him to yell at someone or yell at a ref or anything. And he just kind of threw his hands up in the air, laughed it off.
That was a great moment. That was a really great moment.
Riled up the Cavs crowd. And, you know, Donovan Mitchell seemed really desperate to insert himself in that situation and just ignored that.
Yeah.
And just kind of let it go. And, you know, props to him. Like he came in fully zen, level-headed Julius in this game. And that was exactly what the Knicks needed.
Alex, it was the cold showers, the Wim Hof breathing. That's what did it. 17
that's
days.
What it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just got 17 days straight. He just spent his time. You know, you want to do a Dragon Ball Z reference? He spent his time like in the time chamber, just meditating.
Oh my god, yeah. He's technically 45 now, but nobody.
Wait, what if that's how he healed the ankle too? He took 4 months in the time chamber and came.
Yeah, couple senzu beams. You know,
it's good to go.
Yeah.
We also had a comment in the
I saw
chat. Tibbs is Lord Beerus. Yeah, that's a good one too. Motivating everybody to be their best selves. But have we given proper recognition to Jalen Brunson yet? What do you think?
We've talked about him for like 2 minutes, which is insane. But go ahead. Yeah, let's get it done.
Yeah, I mean, 27 points. He comes through with 21 in the second half. Does Jalen Brunson, I mean, he really takes this matchup with Donovan Mitchell personally, I think at this point. I mean, it seems so obvious that this is the guy in the NBA that Jalen Brunson, I mean, he gets up for every game, don't get me wrong, and he plays hard every single game, but I feel like Donovan Mitchell is his nemesis at this point. Like, this is definitely the guy that he wants to like go out there, and whether they're friends in real life or whatever, something about the energy that he plays with on the basketball court when he's playing against Donovan Mitchell just screw. And he seems like he is just constantly wanting to like turn Donovan Mitchell into food. I don't know, but what did you think of Brunson going at Mitchell and having that duel to end this game?
Yeah, there was a moment where I was almost thinking like it was a little to his detriment because he scores pretty easily on Donovan Mitchell, and you could watch Benji Ritholtz did a really nice breakdown of it for Knicks Film School. Like throughout the year, like he tortured Donovan Mitchell, and obviously all of last postseason he tortured Donovan Mitchell. But as easy as it is against Mitchell for him, like I love him going at Darius Garland because Garland just the one thing Mitchell has that Garland doesn't is those super long arms and that bulk in his chest where Brunson can't just get to his spot as easily. Like against Mitchell, he's typically shooting like if he doesn't blow by him or get a floater, he's shooting like a 12 to 15 foot fadeaway. Against Garland, he was getting like 6 foot fadeaways, and it felt like a high school star going up against a kindergartner when he had Darius Garland on him. So I want to see whatever's there on a personal level for Jalen Brunson. I want to see him target Darius Garland a little more because there was 1 or 2 plays where he was intentional about picking Mitchell instead of Garland. But man, he was great in this game. I loved him just scoring twice to open the ball game, and one of them, like maybe hearing me like continuing to repeat that Okoro did a really good job on him in the regular season, just absolutely toasted Isaac Okoro on the second play of this game with a nasty left to right crossover. The one thing I noted from him in the first half that I'm interested to see if it changes going forward is the Cavs were hedging on screen. So basically, RJ would come up and set a screen. Donovan Mitchell would pop out onto Brunson, and then Okoro would recover, and Mitchell would get back to RJ. And a lot of times in that situation as a player, like you see it with Steph Curry and Draymond Green all the time when teams hedge on screens on Steph Curry or flat out double him. The technically correct basketball play there generally is to get the ball to the open guy and let RJ play a 4-on-3. Brunson, at least on that one play, didn't trust RJ to do that. And I wonder if the outlet instead is Quickly or Grimes, if there's a little bit more faith there that like, all right, they're going to either hit an open 3 or drive and make the right decision. But to my point earlier, that's why it's crucial, like down the stretch of these games, you're getting Brunson big minutes with Grimes, big minutes with Quickly. And of course, in Tibbs' defense, neither of those guys played well tonight. So it's on both of them to step up. But I think that is going to stretch the Cavs defense to a breaking point. If they're going to double Quickly like that, even for a moment, and then someone else has to rotate out to Grimes or Quickly, I trust both those guys. We saw it all year with Grimes. We see it with Quickly often enough. They're able to beat the closeout, either get a lob at the rim, get a dunk, and they're going to be able to make the next play. But then Okoro got played off the floor, and then Brunson the second half over and over again, going at Karis LeVert or getting a switch and getting to go at Garland, getting to go at Donovan Mitchell. And when Julius Randle, like the shots really stopped falling for him in the second half, Brunson was there to pick it up. Like the mid-range jumpers, the fadeaways, the 3. Man, he had one where he just won around the corner with 5:27 left to make it 89-81. And then when Mitchell had scored 5 in a row, he matched Donovan shot for shot, right? Had the layup, then had a step back 3 of his own, had the ISO jumper late on Chetty Osman. It was big shot after big shot. And all I could think, Alex, is like, this is, I never even felt this good about Melo down the stretch, but in some ways it's Melo reincarnate in that as good as Julius Randle played, as good as Julius Randle was 2 years ago, it has been a decade since the Knicks have had a guy in this form making big shots in a playoff game. And someone you could say, hey, Donovan Mitchell, top 10 offensive player on earth. Jalen Brunson outscored in the second half. It was 21-20. The Knicks have a bona fide shot-making star. And I think we're going to get an even better and even more decisive game from Brunson in game 2.
I think so too, especially because, I mean, some of those fouls were a little ticky-tack in the first half. I don't even think he really played too, like he certainly didn't seem like the moment was getting to him or anything where he was committing stupid fouls. I really just thought he just got kind of a crap whistle. He was just wrong place, wrong time a couple times, and that kind of screwed him over. I think last thing I want to highlight, Gavin, before we sign off is just the defense from the Knicks. You know, I talked about this with our buddy Evan from Locked On Cavs the other day, but when I was making the case for the Knicks defense, I was like, I feel like things could work out pretty good for the Knicks in this one because I think they've been trying some different things that they utilized a little bit, you know, things that we saw little snippets of throughout the year, you know, of fooling around with the idea of sending more pressure at primary scorers of other teams. And granted, they got burned a few times by Mitchell in this game by like trying to go under screens and you know, not sticking with him, not fighting over the screen, and that led to a few Mitchell threes. But I thought in general they made a pretty concerted effort to pressure Mitchell more than anybody else on the Cavs, and then just sort of dared the less talented players on the Cavs to beat them, which they obviously didn't in the end. Now, that meant Darius Garland getting a few more opportunities than maybe you would want as well, and he wound up having a pretty good game for himself. But then you have the Okoros of the world and the Mobleys of the world, who was clearly uncomfortable, and the Leverts of the world that just weren't able to take advantage and do anything for the Cavs because the Knicks were putting such an effort into defending Mitchell, especially, that it just sort of it made it so that Mitchell had a good enough game that it kept the Cavs in it, obviously, and he went off because that's what he does. And yet the rest of the Cavs were not able to put anything together to finish this thing off for them.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And just a couple of great individual efforts. Like I already noted, RJ. I thought Randle was good on that end as well. Like he had a couple brain farts. Like he had one play where the Cavs got kind of a mismatch where I think it was Levert on Quickly, and that's only a mismatch in that Quickly's giving up 4 inches in that matchup. But Randle just tried to get a blindside double and came sprinting in from the corner and ended up with Darius Garland hitting a wide open 3. And the Knicks got bailed out a few times. Like Garland had 2 or 3 different threes that went halfway down and out. Okoro had one that was halfway down. Dean Wade had one that he should have made that he missed badly. So that's kind of where I said that, look, just like there's still meat on the bone for the Knicks to get better. I definitely think there's still meat on the bone for Cleveland to get better. But you look at what he did. I thought Grimes had a really good start to this game defensively on Donovan Mitchell. When Grimes is on him, there's a lot of Mitchell taking contested threes. And look, Mitchell's great. He's going to make some of those. And there's going to be some plays where Grimes gets caught up on a screen, where Mitchell Robinson is a little bit too deep in his drop. And Mitchell's just going to rise up and hit some shots. He's one of the best playoff scorers statistically of all time. So that stuff is going to happen. But Josh Hart down the stretch made things really tough on Mitchell. In the first half, Hart had really good ball denial on him, where there were at least a play or two where Mitchell couldn't even get the ball. Isaiah Hartenstein, he forced Evan Mobley to miss a layup at one point with really good verticality. I want to shout out him. It was what I said earlier. Like they did end up closing with Hartenstein, and that's because I thought Mitch had some real highlights in this game. Hartenstein he just did not make a mistake in this one, right? 22 minutes, 8 points, 5 rebounds, didn't have an assist, but also didn't have a turnover, a team high plus 19 in just 22 minutes. And I wonder if as this series goes along, he continues to get more and more of a bulk of those center minutes, because Mitch was erratic in this first half. And this was the first playoff game of his career. So you maybe you even cut him more slack than you do Quickly and Obi, because this was literally the first time he's ever played in this environment, particularly against a team like Cleveland. But the focus just wasn't there in the first half, right? He gave up an offensive rebound to Jared Allen that led to a dunk where he just didn't box out and tried to go flying for the rebound and missed it. And that was a theme for him. Like his timing on rebounds just felt off all night. Like repeatedly, he was jumping too early, missed a bunch of offensive rebounds. He should have had another one where he mistimed it, and Jared Allen ended up getting a wide open layup. Mitch had one where in transition, if you remember this, where 2 guys for Cleveland fell down. Obi just threw him a dime through 2 different defenders, and he ended up missing an easy lay. But then in the second half, you give him a lot of credit. He turned it around, had an offensive rebound deflected a lob on the very next possession, protected the rim really well, drew a foul fighting for a rebound. That was the same play where he drew the foul fighting for a rebound. Then Josh Hart had a board. Then Mitch ran down another board in the far corner, then had this beautiful give and go between him and Julius Randle for a dunk. So I don't want to say that it was all bad for Mitchell Robinson, but I just thought Hartenstein, like if you're talking about a coach like Tom Thibodeau, right, who's so big on trust, who's so big on reliability over making the spectacular play, I really think as this series goes on, if Hartenstein continues to play like this and brings that aggressiveness that you want from Mitch, like you're going to see him having maybe a game in the series where he hits 30 minutes.
Yeah, I could possibly see that as well. And, I think that no matter what's good is that the Knicks got good production out of both of those guys, I think, at the end of the day. And that's just kind of the luxury of having two guys that you can rely on both of them to go out there at the center position. And now that Tibbs plays Hartenstein in a slightly different way than he does Mitch, you can get sort of different looks from them as well. But Hartenstein, I think the big difference to me in this game and what made him so valuable, on top of the offensive rebounding, was just the fact that he's always head up after offensive rebounds, looking to get things started and looking to get the break going. I think that the two things, if I had two takeaways from this game about what we can expect going forward in this series, it's the depth working to the Knicks' favor and the transition offense working to the Knicks' favor, because those were the two things that I think made a huge difference in this game and really made the Cavs uncomfortable, on top of the rebounding, which kind of goes without saying at this point.
On that note, you want to shout out Obi Toppin real quick? Because I mean, he was great in that third quarter.
Yeah. Real quick shout out to Obi. 9 points in this game, 4 boards, and assists, shot 3 of 4. I mean, he was fantastic. It was like just what the Knicks needed. It was what the doctor ordered in that third quarter, especially because the Cavs made a run, and it came more to fruition in the fourth quarter. But like the Cavs were keeping this thing pretty close, and like Obi just kind of gave the Knicks that little push to like keeping them at bay and get those easy buckets, run the floor, just like get out there. And also his hustle plays. I mean, he saved a few balls that were about to go out of bounds and then just miraculously jumped for them and like in air turned around and managed to get them to somebody and start the action going the other way. So Obi was crucial. That's why I think he was the lowest minute getter on the Knicks in this game, like with 14 and a half minutes, but like keep him at that number. Like find a way to make sure that he gets around 15 minutes a game, because he's still playing really well right now. Like he didn't skip a beat, even though he's back on the bench and he's not, guaranteed like 30 plus like starter minutes now. Like now that Randle's back, keep him in a role. Like he is still offering something, and he does something, especially if Quick and Grimes and RJ can get themselves going in a meaningful way as well with with the bench unit. Like them plus Obi is really going to make the Cavs uncomfortable and can really potentially blow the doors off on their bench unit at times during this series. So I hope Obi keeps getting minutes, and especially while we're seeing Julius kind of still get his win back.
Yeah, I think you always hear talk, and like particularly in regards to Obi, like how much do those easy buckets he gets in the regular season translate into postseason play, right? Because in playoff basketball, like some of your offensive rebounding is supposed to go away. Some of your transition game is supposed to go away. Like I always hear people talk about it in regards to the Grizzlies, where they're like, all right, that style of play doesn't fly in the postseason. Defense, they're too good. They're too self-aware. Guess what? Obi's still 6'8". He can still fly, and he's still maybe the fastest big man in the league from baseline to baseline. And in that third quarter, like in playoff basketball, when half court buckets, like it is a war. It's trench warfare. You're in the muck, you're battling, you're grinding. It's a lot of what Julius Randle did on that offensive rebound I talked about, right? Where you're bouncing off 3 different guys, you're throwing 3 pump fakes, and eventually you're getting smacked across the face to get to the foul line. Like if Obi can give them just 2 of those a game, like I think those are series changing types of plays. When particularly to your point, Cleveland's the worst transition team in the league. And I was kind of wondering, like, all right, they're good at forcing turnovers. Like, are they going to be a little more aggressive getting on the break? And sure, they had those 2 transition layups in that run to take the lead. But Alex, when they didn't get steals, like we really didn't see that. Like we didn't see the Knicks giving up a lot of like, all right, made bucket. Donovan Mitchell just comes down and drains a 30-footer. It happened a couple of times, but I didn't think it was disproportionate. And I think Darius Garland, like he's going to be more and more aggressive as this series goes along about hunting those types of shots. But for at least one game, didn't really have that. And I guess my final note, and we can, because we're probably going to end up doing a podcast for Monday, maybe talking about some bigger picture stuff, and we can shout out Tom Thibodeau then. We could talk about the complexion of the series then, but I thought Tom Thibodeau coached almost a perfect game, so salute to him. But quickly surprised me with how much he struggled. And look, I know I said it earlier, like this was kind of the first time he's played this type of role, like on this type of stage, but Alex, I'm not sure. What did you see from him? Because I expected more. Like even when his offense wasn't clicking, I think what really stunned me was there was some defensive mishaps from him that we just haven't really seen all season.
Yeah, I think maybe the stage got to him a little bit. I don't know if it's too much more complicated than that. I think that he just kind of was struggling to find his confidence. He didn't seem confident in his shot. And certainly, things were transferring to the defensive end. I think it was just kind of one of the way games used to go for him, where if the shot wasn't falling initially, we saw it seep into other parts of his game and lead to him maybe worrying about playing time or whatever, like that quick hook, which he didn't really get in this game. Like he was given every opportunity, but he just really didn't. I don't know. I don't know how to fully pinpoint it, but like to your point, like the defensive lapses were very uncharacteristic for him. I'm kind of hoping that it was just jitters and he gets over it in the next game, because, that's not what you want to see out of him. Like he's the spark plug. Like he is the sixth man of the year. He is the guy that comes in and, ensures that your bench unit can be every bit as good as your starters. And maybe it was even just the fact that he had a lot thrust upon him initially with having to come in early for Brunson, maybe earlier than he was expecting. Maybe that threw him off rhythm or something, but that's not really an excuse. Like I really hope that he shows out better in the next game, because this game was not the best effort for him.
Yeah, there were just a few plays that I noted in the first half on the defensive end. Had one where he went flying by Darius Garland on a closeout, and quickly is as good almost as anyone in the NBA typically on closeouts. Like because he gets out there fast, but he's so under control. And he's just able to prevent the shot while staying in position exceptionally well. And that was kind of weird. He had another play. This was offensively, but at the end of the first half, we had a shot clock violation, had those two passes where he got deep penetration. And it was almost a situation where he's like, all right, there's three guys around me. If I just throw this ball up in the air, someone's going to be wide open. No one was. It led to two turnovers, like forced a deep three in transition when he was out of rhythm. Did have two good defensive plays. Like got a big rebound over Jared Allen at one point. Had a great recovery on Chetty Osman to force a travel. So I agree with you. I think it's going to flip next game, and he's going to really show out. I think especially when the Knicks are back at MSG, he's really going to show out. But you know what? The Knicks, and we can wrap up on this. Like the Knicks have such a golden opportunity next game. It's almost impossible to come back from 2-0 down. Teams do it, but it is literally like 3 to 4% of the time, maybe even less than that. I feel like it's like 20 times in NBA history that has actually happened, particularly when you're the road team, right? Taking 2 games in Cleveland would be just so incredibly demoralizing for the Cavs. And if the Knicks are going to do it, I think someone off the bench that's not Jalen Brunson, that's not Julius Randle, is going to have a crazy game. And I think Emmanuel Quickley is the best candidate. So pressure's on him. But Alex, what a game 1 win, 101-97. Knicks are up 1-0. The coverage will not stop. I expect we'll be potting pretty much every day. Maybe we'll take a day off at some point as long as the Knicks are in the playoffs. So stick with us on Locked On Knicks. Really, really appreciate you guys tuning in live. I know it's not what we typically do, but the participation's so cool. Awesome to see the comments. Awesome to answer the questions. And we'll talk to you all soon on Locked On Knicks.